Our next speaker is Kathryn Pauls, Using Your Head, MPM 8111 and the Pachycephalosaur debate.
Okay, so I work for the Milwaukee Public Museum. I just want to make a small disclaimer. I work digitizing the Ordovician invertebrate collection. So I'm not a dinosaur person or a vertebrate paleontologist, but I've worked at the MPM for a few years now, and I've gotten to know a little bit more about the collections, and I just really like to dive into some of the other specimens that we have. And I've kind of gotten to know a little bit more about the history of the department as well, the geology department, and starting last year I came across some information and photos of the Dig a Dino program that the NPM had a while back, and I wanted to learn more about it. The Dig a Dino program was a fairly long-lived, successful citizen science-based program that was started by Diane Gabriel and Mac West in the late 70s, early 80s. They hosted field trips and took volunteers out to Montana and Nebraska to recover paleoecological information about the dinosaurs of the Hell Creek Formation. Just kind of interesting to note, some of these volunteers were actually children, and some of them went on to become geologists later on in life. So as a result, many of these volunteers had the opportunity to discover and find and recover dinosaur bones, so not quite, the Jurassic Park, but still pretty awesome. They even named some of the localities after their volunteers as well. This brings me to this particular specimen, NPM 8111, which was recovered during this program back in 1987 by a volunteer by the name of Jeff Howe. It was found in North Dakota. And I was fascinated by this specimen because while I knew of Pachycephalosaurs, I'd never actually seen one in person, and this one is actually pretty spectacular. You can see the whole, the dome of the skull and the left squamosal there at the right-hand side of the photo. And the NPM actually has two of these skulls, and this one just happens to be slightly more complete than the other one, which is NPM 7111, which I used in the Inside Out program that the NPM hosts. It's sort of a behind-the-scenes program where we take specimens out to the members, and they get to learn more about specimens that they don't normally get to see on display in our exhibits. So if you don't really know anything about Pachycephalosaurs, know this. They have this sort of reputation of being the dinosaur that headbutts. And as many of the people that I talked to at the Inside Out program this year, or earlier this month, every time I asked them what is a Pachycephalosaur, they ran their hands together and like, oh, the one that headbutts, thank you, Jurassic World. And that's kind of what I had always associated with Pachycephalosaurs as well. But I kind of did a little bit more research on this particular specimen because this was a published specimen, and through this they sort of measured it and took great detail of the whole skull itself, and it's characterized as having rather large ornamental nodes and squamosal horns, and so this kind of led the authors to sort of introduce this idea that perhaps not all Pachycephalosaurs actually headbutted, because these large ornamental horns and nodes would have probably gotten in the way of that. And so it's just something that I learned, and I thought it was really, really kind of fun, and I just wanted to share it all with you today. So thank you.